come in search of? Validation? Opportunity? Maybe business unfinished?
I know how hard it is to get here. I'm well aware it's going to be twice as hard to get back to this point next year than it was this year.
Well, you're back. And in some cases, for the umpteenth time. KC looking for a 7th straight championship Sunday against a team that's never seen one. Mahomes' legend, one win from level footing with football deity. Others may pray for favor on 4th. The Dans, always apt to push chips to the middle. The overwhelming favorite versus the long shot phenom. But what has this game taught us, if anything? Victory belongs to the willing.
Good! We'll see you in Detroit!
LA and Philly have both felt it. But past result does not imply future outcome. Hope enough for LA that this time, records remain intact.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Yet hope is no strategy, and David ain't walking through that door. Sunday night on CBS, 2 Goliaths. Both deserving of accolade and the opportunity to prove it again. But that's not how this thing works. And what lies within will determine if the dream lives on or 9 months of nightmare. You're one step closer. Don't stop now.
Nothing like a Joe Musso hype package to get you ready for the divisional matchups we have in the NFL this weekend. There's just 4 guys. Haley Sutton, welcome into our NFL pregame show. We are so excited to be with you. I mentioned it. Just 4 games this weekend in the NFL as the divisional weekend gets underway in just about an hour here. Teams, of course, trying to punch their tickets to conference championship rounds next week. As you heard Joe say, it's the same old song and dance for Kansas City. They've had nearly a perfect regular season. And, of course, they are eyeing a return to the Super Bowl, but also a chance to do something no team in NFL history has done. That, of course, is the three-peat. We know that the Chiefs are facing off with a scrappy and young Houston Texans squad led by a second-year duo that has taken this league by storm. C.J. Stroud and D'Amico Ryans looking to play spoiler. Just one of several games kicking off. We're going to get you a preview for the Commanders-Lions in just a little bit, but let's take this show on the road, shall we? We are so thankful to have A.J. Ross joining us from the field at Arrowhead. AJ, I know it's chilly out there, but thanks so much for being with us on the pregame show. Now, we do know the last time these two teams met, Kansas City and Houston, it was the Chiefs walking away with a victory, taking one step closer to that 1 seed. And for the Texans, it was an emotional matchup. They lost a key player in their lineup. So just give us the vibe check right now in this matchup, this rematch.
Yeah, you noted it. It was a very close matchup in Week 16 when these two teams met. It was late December, and the Texans were really close in that matchup, but unfortunately, wideout Tank Dell, he suffered a season-ending knee injury. So C.J. Stroud has already noted that this is a game that's going to be very emotional this year because they really want to win for Tank. And, I mean, this is a matchup that also they are familiar with from even the 2019 divisional round when the Texans were up 24-0 and the Chiefs were able to come back and win this one. You mentioned there's so much on the line. The Chiefs, of course, looking to win 3 in a row, 3 Super Bowls in a row, and the Texans, of course, looking to make it to the AFC Championship game for the first time in franchise history. So tensions are high, emotions are high. This is going to be an incredible game today.
Yeah, we are so excited as you lay the storylines out there for us. Let's talk about the defending champions first. We know Patrick Mahomes was dealing with that high ankle surgery. He is high ankle sprain, I should say, not surgery. He is well rested. He is ready to go. But when you talk about the message for the Kansas City Chiefs, right, they've been here before, that slow, the bye week, not really slowing them down. What is the message that you're hearing out of the Kansas City side of this matchup?
I really don't think it's a new message. There seems to be a elevated, really a performance with the Chiefs. Anytime that they are in the playoffs, they seem to kick it up a notch. Patrick Mahomes, all-time, is 15-3 in the postseason. He's thrown 41 touchdowns in the postseason, which is 5th all-time. There really is this aura of this team has been special for the last few years, and they are on the brink of doing something even more special this year. But of course, this Texans team, they are looking very very different with DeMeco Ryans at the helm, and they're, not to be overlooked. So it's one game at a time, and they're looking for, maybe a possible long run into the Super Bowl again this year.
Yeah, there's a long list of things that the Kansas City Chiefs can accomplish from our awesome research team that we'll get into in just a bit with our NFL analysts. But you mentioned something earlier about this Texans team, AJ. They're the only team left in the NFL that hasn't seen a conference championship appearance. They are 0-5 all-time in the divisional round. And Charles Davis talks a lot about this team finding their magic again, seeing the Houston Texans team we saw last year. Take us inside their huddle, inside their game plan today, as they not only try to slay the dragon in Kansas City, but try and rewrite history of their own.
Well, this is a Texans team that is really re-energized with DeMeco Ryans again taking over, and he seems to get the best out of his players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. When you look at their edge rushers, Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, they've combined for 23 sacks on the season. Not to mention their secondary. They are second in the league in interceptions with 23 interceptions, and they led the league in completion percentage allowed. Also, C.J. Stroud, a lot of people have kind of criticized this year, but he's been playing behind an inconsistent O-line. Mind you, he was the offensive rookie player of the year last year. He comes from Ohio State. He's used to playing in loud, big atmospheres like this with, entirely filled stadiums. He is not going to waver in the moment per se, as some may speculate. So this is a young, hungry Texans team that's looking in here to shock the world and to make history for their franchise.
Well, we are so excited, AJ, to see things get underway. We're going to let you go so you can go and warm up, because it is certainly chilly out there. Last I looked, it was in the 20s. So we are very fortunate to be here in our CBS Sports HQ studios. Haley Sutton joined by Logan Ryan. We also bring in Lige Douzable, two guys with a lot of NFL experience. So we're going to lean into that, gentlemen, and let's start, of course, by continuing the conversation about the Kansas City Chiefs. And I want to pull up this full screen that we have, Boney, if we have it, because the list, gentlemen, of the things that the Kansas City Chiefs can accomplish this weekend, there's so much, but we know, of course, they're chasing that 8th straight playoff win. When it comes to Patrick Mahomes, so much success. He's chasing a lot of the greats in this game. Logan, I come to you first here. When you contextualize what the Kansas City Chiefs have done just over the last, let's say, 5 or 6 years, now they're chasing a three-peat, something no team in the NFL has been able to accomplish. What jumps out to you from a player perspective on what this team has been able to do?
Just the consistency to perform every level, to get up every single year. You see what the 49ers have done this year. They've talked about their playoff runs, and now they're all banged up and the injuries. And the Chiefs have injuries, but they always still respond. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, to start his career, could be tying Joe Montana.
It's crazy.
Right? On pace, maybe for Tom Brady. So to start your career and you're already tying Joe Montana, you're not even maybe in the prime of your career. You're just getting the swing of things. I mean, how good he was, how early, how consistent. At that level, Lige can attest to. That is really hard to do, what he's done, and made it look so easy, honestly.
Logan and Haley, you can't put into words what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing, right? I mean, just looking at that full screen, they have an opportunity with a win today to go to 7 straight AFC championship games. Let me repeat that. They have an opportunity today to go to 7 straight AFC championship games. We have not seen anything like this. Logan, you alluded to it, right? When you talk about Patrick Mahomes, usually people around his age, that's when they're starting to just gel in the NFL, get into their groove. He has the opportunity to tie Joe Montana for playoff wins, and he's just getting into the groove of his career. So I think the biggest thing for me, Logan talked about consistency. To me, it's how they've evolutionized themselves, right? When you talk about how each Kansas City Chiefs team has been different. When Patrick Mahomes was first name starter, remember he sat his rookie year, but his second year, it was them, having explosive plays over the top with Tyreek Hill. And they did that for a couple years. And then they ended up trading away Tyreek Hill, and people wondered what they would look like. And they had the #1 offense in football. And then you go to a year after that, the team is led by its defense, and they have a championship-type defense, while Patrick Mahomes is trying to get on par with the receivers. More of the same this year. Patrick Mahomes still trying to get on par with his receivers. The defense still playing at a high level. And yes, Logan spoke about it. They just continue to be consistent. So to me, that's been the greatest thing that I've seen when you talk about this magical run the Kansas City Chiefs have been on, is the way they've been able to change up who they are and yet still be consistent and and get to the AFC Championship.
I remember the message last year around this time was if there was any time to beat the Chiefs, it was last year, and yet they still won the Super Bowl. And then this year the conversation has been Patrick Mahomes statistically has not been great, and yet here they are 15-2 looking at potentially another AFC Conference Championship. It's really crazy when you think about it. And if you're the Texans, that's got to be playing in the back of your mind, right? You've seen this team already, Lige. The result didn't come the way you wanted it to in that regular season meeting. I think they have the advantage, though, when you think about how strong this Texans defense is going up against maybe a shaky offensive line in Kansas City. There's been some movement around with that tackle position. I know Joe Thuney has been a big piece of that offensive line. What advantages do they have on that Texans defensive line that could maybe shake things up and maybe make it difficult for Patrick Mahomes in this one?
Yeah, you see it right there. They allow the lowest completion percentage, and they take the football away. Derek Stingley has been out of this world when the ball has been in the air. But also, Kamari Lassiter has played at an elite level as well. So, Haley, you spoke about it. If the Texans want to slay the dragon, pull this upset off, it's going to be by its defense, right? And they need to take some of that home cooking on the road. You know why I say that? When you look at some of the top quarterbacks they played this year, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, all three of those quarterbacks had their worst game versus Houston this year. But unfortunately for the Texans, that was on the road. I was looking forward to this defensive line really getting after Patrick Mahomes in their first meeting in Kansas City. Well, it didn't happen. Haley, you spoke about it. Joe Thuney moves from guard to left tackle, and he's just been a consummate pro. And I think he's worked really well with Patrick Mahomes. That's why Andy Reid decided to keep him at left tackle instead of putting DJ Humphries there, because he's going to set a certain way. He's going to set from inside out, and he's going to make the defensive end run the hoop. And Patrick Mahomes does a really good job of stepping up into the pocket and running. So when you look at this breakdown of this game, that first meeting was a close game because the defense for the Houston Texans played really good in man coverage, but when Patrick Mahomes saw everybody's back turn, that's when he used his mobility. If they can fix that, Haley and Logan, they have a real chance, because with the corners that they have and the defensive line that can get after the quarterback, it caused Patrick Mahomes and that offense to struggle. When they went in zone coverage, Patrick Mahomes ate them alive, but in man coverage, the Chiefs struggled a little bit, and that's when Mahomes' mobility came to play, and it does always in the playoffs. They got to make sure they keep him in the pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have a chance. And I say it because I'm going to get pregame speechy here, but it's the NFL. This is the playoffs. This is a Game 7. This is all you got, right? This is all you got. Yep. And you're playing your best football right now, Houston. They found themselves the last couple weeks of the season. They've been up and down all year. We've been saying C.J. Stroud is it. No, he's not it. Well, he's it. Well, Nico Collins is hurt. Well, Nico Collins is back. C.J. Stroud found himself last week. In order to pull an upset, one, you have to believe. I believe DeMeco Ryans can have these boys believing, right? It's going to be almost close to impossible based on Patrick Mahomes and his record in the playoffs, but it's possible. So you have to believe. I think DeMeco Ryans and them will believe. Number two, your star players have to play well. They have to play well. C.J. Stroud is playing well. Joe Mixon, they brought him there. He closed out the game last week. Nico Collins could be the best wide receiver on the field. He honestly could be. He's wide receiver 1 in this league. He is a top guy in this league. He's earned that. And then on defense, Leger mentioned it. They got bookend edge rushers. The weakness might be the Kansas City Chiefs offensive tackles, right? So they have the bookend edge rushers, and they have some guys that can match up, play man-to-man coverage, and pick the ball off. If your star players play their best games, then you could beat anybody in this league. You could beat the Chiefs on the road and get a playoff victory. I
mean, teams have been this close this season. It's fallen in favor of Kansas City in most of those games, but we've seen it. They play with their food a little bit, and things could get dicey. All right, that brings me to our pick, gentlemen. The line here favors the Chiefs at -8.5. Point total is set at 41.5. Logan, I come to you first here. What's your play? Who's winning this game?
Well, even though you believe the Chiefs are still winning this game, after that speech, it might wear off, right? I anticipate this being closer, though. I anticipate Houston getting a good start. It's hard, I said, as the 1 seed to come off those bye weeks and play a team like that. They can get started quickly, and that makes you blink, but the Chiefs don't blink. The Chiefs don't blink. I can see Patrick Mahomes doing what he does, pulling away in the second half, but Houston does have a chance to make this interesting.
Logan, man, you gave me the pregame speech. I was starting to believe. I love my breakdown on the Texans defense, and then you just sucker punched them and said, I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm with you, though. I'm taking the Chiefs as well. I'm taking them to cover the 8.5. When you talk about the pedigree and them being here, a lot of people will worry about them essentially being off for 2 or 3 weeks because they sat everybody week 18. But when you have the pedigree that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Tooney and the rest of this offense has, you're accustomed to being in this position. I think another thing to talk about is in that first matchup in December, Tank Dell was a big part of what made the Texans make that game close. He got hurt at the end of the first half. Not having him, I think, will be too much to overcome. Give me the Chiefs minus 8.5.
Man, look, I was ready to run through a brick wall for the Houston Texans after listening to both of you, and here we are rolling with the Chiefs. Spoiler alert, I'm also taking the Chiefs in this one. Guys, such good conversation. Stick around. We've got plenty more NFL coverage to discuss as the day goes on. But before we get there, we've got some breaking news into CBS Sports HQ. The Texas Longhorns will be hanging on to Coach Steve Sarkisian for just a little bit longer. Sark led the Horns to the college football playoff semifinals for a second straight season. The school is adding another year to his existing deal, which now runs through 2031. The news comes with Sarkisian reportedly drawing interest from some NFL teams. We'll, of course, have more on this later today on HQ, so make sure you keep it locked right here. Well, coming up, I told you we had plenty more football action to get to. It's last year's darling taking on this year's darling. We'll get into the Commanders and the Lions on the other side here on CBS Sports HQ.
Zane Gonzalez looking to send Washington into the divisional round. Snap good, hold down, kick on its way. It is
Good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders. They do it again. We'll see you in Detroit.
And Zane Gonzalez.
I don't know what the best part of that video is, whether it's the kick itself, it's Todd Bowles taking off his headset, it's the Commanders celebrating. My goodness. The Cardiac Commanders taking over the NFC headlines this week with that kick heard around the world. They beat the Bucs, and now they turn their attention to the Super Bowl favorites in the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. Of course, the Lions have shocked everybody. They were so depleted on defense, and yet they went into that regular season finale against the Vikings, and they showed that they deserved that 1 seed. So we are certainly in for a treat in this one later tonight as we welcome you back into our CBS Sports HQ studios. Haley Sutton joined by Logan Ryan and Lige Douzable. Guys, I'm so glad we're starting this topic of conversation with the Washington Commanders, and particularly about their quarterback in Jayden Daniels, because both of you gentlemen are very high on what he's been able to do this season. And I know we've taken a long look at the numbers, right, statistically, what he's been able to accomplish. Lige, I'll come to you first here, because you said something earlier this week. You said that Jayden Daniels right now in the playoffs is the quarterback that you trust the most in this moment. Why is that? Double down on that, on why he's been able to get the Commanders to this point.
I mean, all you got to do is turn on the tape, Haley, and facts show you why I said that. And I said, with the game on the line, there's no quarterback I trust more this specific season than Jayden Daniels. When you look at their last 5 games, all those games came down to 10 seconds or less, which shows you that Jayden Daniels at his best in clutch situations when they need him the most. I've never seen a rookie quarterback have the poise that Jayden Daniels actually has. I mean, you go back to that Eagles game, right? They have 5 turnovers on the Commanders side. Jayden throws interception with about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. And you think the game is over. Well, the defense is able to get a 3-and-out. It gets the ball back. And you would never known he threw an interception because he was really aggressive still with the football. Go back to last week versus Tampa Bay Bucs. Pivotal 3rd down, 3rd and 6 to De'Ami Brown on an in-breaking route. That was a 4th down play right there for a touchdown to Scary Terry McLaurin. And then on 3rd and 2, to get a 1st down, to essentially salt the game away and set up Zane Gonzalez for the game winner, he ends up making Kalaji Kancey miss, gets on the edge, and gets 4 yards, gets down, gets the 1st down. They kick themselves into the divisional round. So when you talk about a guy that seems like he's at his best in clutch scenarios, it's Jayden Daniels, and that's why I trust him more than any quarterback, specifically to this season when the game is on the line.
Yeah, I'm just staring at that Week 18 Marcus Mariota play there. I know it has nothing to do with Jayden Daniels, with them getting it done against my Cowboys. It is certainly interesting. Logan, I want to take this a step further, because this morning on the pregame show, you took that a step further. You said Jayden Daniels right now, if he is able to pull out the upset over Detroit this weekend, we should seriously be talking about him as one of the greatest rookies to ever play this game. From the player perspective here, as someone who's played defense, what is it about his game that makes it so challenging, and for you to give him such high praise?
It's just unprecedented. We haven't seen anything like it. And from a player perspective, and especially like Todd Bowles' defense, I play in that defense. All you're trying to do in the NFL as a professional defender is figure out the other team's strengths and take them away. You're trying to make the teams play left-handed. And a lot of that times the quarterback, because the quarterback has the ball. What does he not do well? Where can we blitz him? What can we do? Do we keep him in the pocket? Do we flush him out of the pocket? What can we do to make this guy uncomfortable? No one has figured it out yet. In the biggest moments, Jayden Daniels has been the most calm, the most poised, and he's won 6 one-score games for them. And the ball is in his hands in all these crucial situations. I've never seen that in my time in the NFL, where a rookie quarterback has the ball in his hands in every crucial situation. Like, not let's help the quarterback, let's run the ball so the quarterback doesn't have to do it. Let's find a way to make it easy for him. They're not finding a way. He is finding the way himself. He is the system, right? There is no system. He is their system. The ball's in his hands, and he's doing play after play, time and time again, to the point where I got to give him his respect. You know, if he does this one, if you beat the Super Bowl favorites on the road as an underdog in the playoffs, and you're already 1-0 in your playoff career, that will be the greatest season we've seen from a rookie quarterback. That's not up for debate. That would just be a clear statement if he gets this done.
He could become the 5th rookie quarterback to make a conference championship game, and to take it a step further, no rookie quarterback has ever made the Super Bowl. So obviously something that could help your point there a little bit too. Unfortunately, when we look at the other side of this matchup, they are taking on the Super Bowl favorites in the Detroit Lions, and it's a Detroit Lions team, gentlemen, that is well rested. They're getting some key players back, both on offense and defense. Logan, just looking at this team, we talk a lot about Kansas City and the rest versus rust, and it's not a factor for them because they've been there, done that. How does that play into effect with the Lions?
Well, like I said, it's going to be hard to start fast when you have that rest and you're playing an efficient quarterback like Jaden Daniels. But the Lions needed it. They had a lot of injuries. We know that. They got Alex Anzalone back at linebacker to really shore some things up. They got more aggressive there, playing some more man-to-man. They're going to have to find a way to get stops, though. Like, you're not just going to roll out there and beat the Commanders. You got to get Jaden Daniels off the field. You have to find a way to get stops. Teams haven't done that. And when a guy is so good on the other side of the ball, it's not about what your defense can do to stop him. It's what your offense can do to keep him off the field, right? And the Lions have the #2 ranked run offense all year long. They have to run the ball. They have to find a way to keep him off the field. They score points. They score points with the best of them. And off of the run game, Jared Goff and the Lions offense is the best in play action. Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra, right? Those type of receivers, they have to convert third downs. They have to convert fourth downs. We know the Lions like to be aggressive. Find a way to keep Jaden Daniels off the field in the fourth quarter. If he has the ball more in the fourth quarter, he can beat you.
Yeah, Logan, it's going to come down to those hogs up front for the Detroit Lions. Now, a big question in this game, Kevin Zeitler will be out. It looks like Christian Mahogany, the rookie from Boston College who started one game previous this season, will start. But with David Montgomery coming back and you getting Sonic and the Knuckles combination, it's going to be tough for those Commanders. I agree with everything you said. To me, the Commanders, their best defense has to be their offense staying on the field. They outpossessed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by nearly 11 minutes last week, and it boded well for them. And they actually played Bucky Irvin respectfully when you talk about stopping the run. But this is a different animal when you talk about this Lions run game and how Ben Johnson set things up, not only for David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs. If you decide to pressure the Detroit Lions, you better have an answer for Gibbs coming out of the backfield, because we saw what happened to the Minnesota Vikings if you do not do that. He has the ability to run wide receiver routes from the receiver position as a running back. So that is what is going to be the determining factor in this game when you talk about these two teams, right? That physical run game for the Detroit Lions. The Commanders can't slow that down. It's going to be a long game.
Gentlemen, it's going to be a good one. It gets underway later today. We've got so much good divisional action coming up. We certainly appreciate your takes as these games get underway. Just a quick look at the tail of the tape here between the Commanders and the Lions. Washington 3-0 all time against the Detroit Lions. We know that the history when it comes to the postseason is not pretty in Detroit, but Dan Campbell's squad trying to change that narrative. Of course, Detroit has won 6 of their last 7 against Washington. So a little push and pull here. We'll see who gets the best of it later tonight. So we've talked previews, we've talked picks. Now we got to build your best fantasy lineup. Jamie Eisenberg joins us on the other side for a little DFS run through. We've got the latest when you come back to CBS Sports HQ. The countdown is on for our first divisional matchup of the weekend. There you see C.J. Stroud running out onto the field at Arrowhead Stadium as his Texans get set to try and slay the Dragon. The Kansas City Chiefs, of course, seeking their third straight Super Bowl. We've talked all about the matchups, and our analysts have given their picks. But let's make some money, shall we? And to do so, we bring in our good friend Jamie Eisenberg of the Fantasy Football Today pod. Jamie, I understand we are going through some DFS next. So do us a favor and give us your DFS lineup for today.
You know, very excited about the Chiefs, Haley. I think when you look at what they have to offer against this Texans defense, we already saw it in Week 16 where Patrick Mahomes came out and had 2 total touchdowns, threw for over 200 yards, and 1 through the air, 33 yards on the ground, and scored a touchdown. And we know he's great in the divisional round, so I'm going to stack him with his top 2 pass catchers at this point. But you could really go a couple different ways because I think Marquise Brown, as we've seen, 15 targets in his 2 games since he's returned from the shoulder injury. Obviously got the revenge factor, DeAndre Hopkins. But I like what Xavier Worthy has done. 31 targets in his last 3 games. Obviously had a big game against the Texans as well in that Week 16 matchup. 7 catches, 65 yards, and a score. So I'm going to go Mahomes. I'm going to go Worthy. I'm going to go Kelsey. And we know Kelsey last season in the playoffs after a disappointing regular season averaged 8 catches, 88 yards, scored 3 touchdowns, 2 of them coming in the divisional round last year. So just playing on some history here, and then I think the Texans will struggle offensively, which is why I like the Chiefs DST. Really, the fun thing about this lineup is David Montgomery's cost at $4,000. I'm guessing FanDuel did not expect him to play because on the main slate, he's the 31st price running back. He's obviously very cheap on the Saturday slate as well, but he's just basically a free spot. So I'm going to play David Montgomery along with Jahmyr Gibbs. We know this backfield's been very successful. The Commanders' run defense, I think, will struggle to stop them. We'll also see them make some plays through the air, but it's just easy to play both of these guys. And then Austin Eckler's another cheap option at running back because we'll see him make some plays through the air as well. This Detroit defense has struggled to stop pass-catching running backs in the last 4 games, and we know that if they're chasing points, Eckler will be certainly involved in the passing game. But I like to set up for Terry McLaurin as well. Detroit finished the regular season number 2 in most fantasy points allowed to opposing wide receivers. We'll counter that with Amon-Ra St. Brown because he's the best pass catcher still for Detroit. And so I like the setup for this lineup based on how these players should operate in their respective matchups.
All right, that's the DFS side. Let's get a player prop for you. You're targeting the Houston Texans for this one. What's your prop today, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under on Joe Mixon with the 57.5 rushing yards. It's an interesting number because in that Week 16 game, what did he have on the ground? He had 57 yards rushing on the ground, but he was 57 yards rushing or less in each of his last 4 games. He went off against the Chargers, had over 100 yards rushing, but this Chiefs run defense has been among the best in football all season long. They did not have Chris Jones in that first game. They have Chris Jones back in this matchup, and I think they'll do a good job in containing Joe Mixon. Again, just looking at his last 4 games, he did go off against the Chargers, a little bit banged up coming into this matchup. Again, the number is pretty interesting because of what this previous game was, but I think he's going to be under 50 yards rushing. May find the end zone, hopefully make some plays in the passing game. Chiefs run defense, though, will keep him under 57 yards, and I think he'll struggle in this matchup.
If you want to make money, just tap into Jamie Eisenberg. Jamie, thanks so much for hopping on HQ with us, helping us build out those DFS lineups. Well, we certainly have plenty more to talk about as we get closer to kickoff. There he is again, C.J. Stroud, running out of the tunnel. When we come back, we've got your top player props for the weekend, and maybe one of these guys are involved. You'll have to stick around to find out. Getting closer to kickoff between the Texans and the Chiefs, and we're talking betting, and here's a fun little betting nugget for you. Taylor Swift is at Arrowhead, for those of you who are asking. When she is in attendance, the Chiefs are 16-3 straight up and 11-7-1 against the spread. Why am I telling you that? Because we're talking player props with our betting crew. So I'm going to hand things over to our betting team of Mackenzie Brooks and Todd Furman, who also have a special guest, Logan Ryan, standing by. What's up, guys?
Yeah, I got a couple friends with me today. We decided to let Logan come in and play the gambling game a little bit here. We're going to go down the list, a few different categories of props here. Todd, great to see you again, same time as last week. Let's start with the quarterbacks, start with some passing props we like. What do you got for us?
So I'm going to go to the Houston Texans side, Mackenzie, and I'm going to make a case for C.J. Stroud to have a bigger workload than odds makers anticipate, mainly because I think the Texans are going to find themselves behind the 8 ball early and going to have to abandon the run sooner than Bobby Slowick would like. So I'll take C.J. Stroud over 34.5 passing attempts in today's game. You look at this Houston Texans team, and while they do want to commit to running the football, it's been a Herculean task to get things going against this Kansas City run defense. Even though the group has trended a little bit poorly down the stretch, I think they get back to basics. Put the ball in your franchise quarterback's hand. Let him distribute to a cast of characters, most notably Nico Collins. But if this game state gets away from Houston early, I think C.J. Stroud has a chance to fill up the stat sheet late. I'll take him over 34.5 pass attempts. Game state dictated here.
All right, we're just going to start this off super awkward like we did last week, because my favorite bet here is the under on C.J. Stroud pass attempts here. Look, you look at the past 2 weeks, it's been a 50-50 pass rush ratio, and I think that's what you want to do if you want to keep Patrick Mahomes and his offense off this field. Use Joe Mixon, eat the clock with your offense. I see a lot of 3-and-out situations for this team, not to mention he's 8-0 to this under when you don't count Week 18 where he was sitting even. So 9-1 if you really want to look at it that way. I just think the strategy here is keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Now I have my good friend Logan to break the tie.
You guys want me to break the tie in the first segment. So I'm here for the player perspective to break it down. And I'm going to go with Todd on this one, because if I'm the Houston Texans, I need to find a way to get a lead early. We can't play a conservative and run the ball. I know the Chiefs are great at stopping the run. That defense might come ready to go. Maybe we can exploit them on some deep passes, see if we can get Nico Collins involved early on, throw the ball down the field. So I can see Houston throwing it early, and then when the Chiefs do, and if they come back, I can see them having to play catch up and throw the ball with Patrick Mahomes. So I can see the pass attempts getting pretty high.
All right, well, I'm already regretting letting you come over here from the desk. All right, I'm taking it to rushing here, and I'm going to get mine off quick really here. Isaiah Pacheco, over 39.5 rushing yards. The Sportsline model makes the number 41. I understand that's not a ton of value, but to me, that's his floor, right? That's accounting the injury and accounting his stats all year where he was playing injured and whatnot. So I do think now that he's had, a month off to really get healthy, this is a guy you're going to use, and especially if they are ahead in that fourth quarter, maybe you get a few extra fluff yards there as well. So I like him to go over his rushing yards. Todd, what are we thinking in the rushing market?
I'm going to go to the opposing running back, Mackenzie, and make a case for Joe Mixon's longest rush in this game to be under 13.5 yards. I know we broke down some of these props earlier in the day, and I made a case for his total yardage to go under 57.5. That number no longer available, as we're down in that 52.5 and 53.5 range. But I think Mixon's going to find it tough sledding to get that explosive run. We saw him get in a limited workload on Wednesday dealing with that ankle injury, was a full DNP on Thursday. I think that ankle injury is a bigger deal than people are letting on. Look, he's a battler. We saw him fight through a similar injury early in the season, but he also missed extensive game time as a result. I think Kansas City makes C.J. Stroud beat them through the air. They know they can roll coverage to Nico Collins. They're not going to get gash on the ground, and I think Mixon struggles to find that explosive under 13.5 yards for his longest rush.
You know what? That's a disgusting play to sweat out, and I commend you for that, Todd. What are you thinking over here, Logan? What are you seeing from the back room?
Look, I think I agree with both you guys, right? I think that, like we talked about, it could be a tough day for Joe Mixon based on the Chiefs' run defense. And Isaiah Pacheco, you just had me at a Rutgers guy. Okay, I'm a Rutgers guy. Isaiah Pacheco's a Rutgers guy. Look at his playoff numbers. This guy's playing a lot of playoff games for his third, fourth year in the league, and he's usually starting a lot of them. He's a guy that punches it in. I see Pacheco getting going. He brings a lot of energy. His crazy run style is high. His kid trying on sneakers at finish line run style, how he runs in the mud.
Angry.
Whatever he does is angry run scepter. whatever he does, I can see Isaiah Pacheco having a big day and Joe Mixon getting bottled up based on the Chief and Spagnuolo's game plan. I agree with you guys both.
All right, let's kick it to the air here. Let's get maybe some explosive plays, maybe not some explosive plays. Looking at our receivers in this game, Todd, who are you going to target?
You know, it's rare for me to find value, Mackenzie, in some of the bigger name players in a game of this magnitude, but I think odds makers are selling Travis Kelce a touch short here with his over-under for receiving yards set in the low 50s. So I'm going to take him to go exceed odds makers' expectations and have an opportunity to flirt with 60+. I know this is the first time in a long time that Kansas City will have their full complement of weapons. We've seen a limited workload with DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, and Hollywood Brown on the field at the same time. But the one thing we have seen from the Kansas City Chiefs in high leverage spots, they like to get their alphas involved. And last year in the postseason, Travis Kelce put all those naysayers to rest with a big performance, was targeted at least 6 times in all 4 playoff games, double-digit targets in 3 of those 4, and with more than 20 days to heal up for an aging veteran, I think he features early and often. And if you look back at the tape last week, the Chargers had plenty of opportunities to get Will Dissly involved. A couple of costly drops suppressed his number. I think Travis Kelce takes full advantage with a 6-catch, 60+ yard stat line. I'll take him to go over his total tonight.
I'll be honest, Todd, I was giving some of our guys behind the camera a hard time with such a public play, but now that you're on it too, maybe I can't be making fun of them as much. I do hear where you're coming from. I'm going with the Chiefs player as well. Hopefully we both can cash here. I'm going to Hollywood Brown, over 39.5 receiving yards, right? You look at his 2 games back, completely healthy. He goes over this number, 1 game, including against Houston. And Travis Kelce can be the #1 target all he wants, but I can guarantee Hollywood Brown will likely be at least #2, and I can guarantee he'll have single coverage when you have so many other weapons here. So I like him to get involved in this whole playoff run, which I anticipate will be a long one. And it's just asking him to do something he's already been doing.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go back with Todd on this one because I played Travis Kelce in the Super Bowl last year, all right? So I can step over. I played him. Our game plan was take him away. He is their first read, and he is their second read. He is Patrick Mahomes' best friend. He steps up in all the biggest games. That's why he hits all his overs in the big games, in the playoffs. And if you do not take him away, you will lose. He still eats. So Houston will try, but Travis Kelce always finds a way. And then I agree that someone else has to step up, right? What about DeAndre Hopkins in revenge game?
Fair.
Revenge game, DeAndre Hopkins, he's going to get the one-on-ones. That's what they brought him there for. In the red area, I can see Hopkins getting those targets if Kelce's doubled. Marquise, Hollywood Brown will have to hit a big one. That is possible to do that. But I like DeAndre Hopkins stepping up as that #2 target.
Right. And while we're talking about all these receivers, I do like Xavier Worthy in the rushing game a little bit, over 3.5 rushing yards. Just another one to sprinkle in there for divisional weekend here. All right, let's get a little fun here. Get some touchdowns, anytime touchdowns, anywhere you want to go, Todd. What do you have for us?
So, you know, last week when we did all of these, Mackenzie, we tried to make a case for some folks a little bit further down the board. We talked about some of the favorites, and I think some of the best upside here is with Travis Kelce at plus $1.60. We've grown accustomed to him being right around even money this time of year to find pay dirt. We know the Chiefs like to scheme up ways to get him involved, especially in goal-to-go situations. But rather than delve into that, I think there's a long shot that's worth a small nibble here, and it comes from the Texans' backfield. Indare Abungawale priced at 25-1. We talked a little bit about Joe Mixon potentially being banged up, and if the Texans go to a slightly pass-happy approach, their third down back can feature prominently. I know he hasn't scored a single touchdown over the last 8 weeks, but look, that's the reason he's priced at a long shot price tag, and I think he's worth a little bit of a sprinkle to maybe get a bigger workload if Joe Mixon is unable to go 4 full quarters.
All right, I respect you going for a long shot to complement your very public play, but you know what? That's fine. I'm going to take us to Xavier Worthy, back to my guy. I think there's a big overreaction to Hollywood Brown being back. Now we get awesome value on Worthy. He's been phenomenal down the stretch. He's had a touchdown in his last 3 games, going over his receiving yard props as well. I understand Brown could take away from his receptions, targets, and whatnot, but when it comes to the red zone, you can't replace his, generational speed and his threat as a runner, the jet sweep as well. So maybe you cash Worthy over 3.5 rushing yards and you get the anytime touchdown. Maybe you parlay that together. How do you feel about that, Logan?
Well, you were the one that was picking Hollywood Brown earlier to take away from Worthy. Now you're back to Worthy.
Listen, we're threading a needle here.
Okay, I see.
We're looking for the jet sweep.
She's all over.
Yeah, you know.
She's all over it. But I'm going to keep it simple, man. I'm going back to Rutgers. Pacheco, he's going to score. I have no idea what the money is on him. I just know he's going to score. Someone's going to get tackled on the 1-yard line. They don't do the QB sneak with Patrick Mahomes too much. So Pacheco's going to be doing them high knees in the end zone. I can see him finding pay dirt.
All right. Thank you, Todd, for all of your knowledge and analysis as well. Haley, you like any of these plays? What's the deal here?
I feel like I don't want to get in the middle of any of you guys because it was like a big family fight where you guys were being pulled in one direction. All I do know is that all of y'all are going to stick around for a few more minutes because after the break, we are going best bets. All on the line. Where are you putting your money? We'll talk about it after this.
two, one, let's go.
Ashley, did you know We Need to Talk is going into its 10th season, and we are bringing a digital show every single week.
So we're going to highlight women in sports, whether you're playing, whether you're commentating, whether you're working behind the scenes. I'm looking forward to us having the platform to lead the charge in that.
I'm so excited to talk with you every single week on We Need to Talk now.
Because everyone's in for a treat. It's going to be fun.
When you need need your sports news all the time?
We've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you.
Big news coming out of the NFL. A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
With highlights.
What a finish at the final round of play.
And in-depth analysis.
Can they three-peat? Tony Romo joins the conversation.
What can you say about this game?
When you need your sports in a snap.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
Find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Well, we are closing in on kickoff between the Chiefs and the Texans. We know Kansas City is chasing their 8th straight playoff win. It would be the 3rd longest streak all time if they can get it done. The Texans on the other side with a lot to prove as well. They entered this one as a 9.5-point underdog, but man, that showing against the Chargers last week has some people thinking a little bit differently about this Texans squad. So we've done the picks, we've done the previews. We got to give you your very best, though, as we get ready for this divisional showdown. We bring back our guy, Todd Furman. And Todd, we are going all in on this one. So if there's one play of the day of these divisional matchups here on Saturday that you're going to push all the chips into, what is it going to be and why?
I mean, Haley, look, I got crushed by Mackenzie for making a case for some of the more prominent players in this game to go over their totals and perform at a high level. So I had to go off the radar here and make a case against Robert Woods going over his receiving total. So I'm going to go under 15.5. I know this number has been on the move, but Robert Woods didn't log a single practice this week for the Houston Texans, and that's a major concern even at this late juncture of the season. This is a guy who's gone over this number in 4 straight games, but I think he takes a backseat to some of the other secondary pass-catching options, most notably John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson, who's seen his total get bet over. It wouldn't shock me at all if we saw Robert Woods with a very limited workload and come away with a goose egg in the catch column. I'm going to go under 15.5 and think that hip injury can limit his productivity, so under on the former USC product.
All right, there we go. Todd Furman giving us his best bet targeting Robert Woods as we bring you back to our desk here, joined by Mackenzie Brooks, Logan Ryan. We've also got Lige Duzable back in the mix with us. I'm Haley Sutton. Guys, let's just talk about this game quickly that's kicking off in just a few minutes here. Texans-Chiefs. Mackenzie, I'll come to you because we've done a lot of betting conversation. As Todd mentioned, you guys kind of went head-to-head there with the picks.
I'm just flattered that I had that much influence on Todd
you're just playing
Furman.
evil there.
That's what I took away from that entire segment. That's good to know. I will use that in the future. As far as the game, I mean, not even from a betting standpoint, but I do think the Chiefs win this pretty handedly, and the model has them covering that spread, and that's accounting, you know, the entire 18-week season, right? If you just isolate down the stretch, which is phenomenal football they've been playing, you see Patrick Mahomes back to his 3 passing touchdown ways, 0 interception type ways, like he's found his stride again, and now they're healthy, and given everything from all 18 weeks, we still like them to cover that spread. That should tell you everything you need to know about how we feel about the Chiefs. I say reluctantly because I'm over it. I'm over the trend. I'm over them winning. I'm over it.
Yeah, I look at it, I just give advice to the Texans in the sense of how to run this race, right? You got to win this race at the end of it and beat the Chiefs, and that's really hard to do. If this is a 400-meter race, you got to get out fast. And I know that might not be the model, but you got to get out fast. You got to just try to kick and hope you can hold on because the Chiefs will come back. They probably will catch you, but you have no shot if you don't get started fast here. If the Chiefs come out starting fast, yes, they will blow this out. If the Houston gets out fast and stays aggressive throughout, maybe they could pull off the upset.
Lige, if I were to ask you for an X factor in this game on either side, who's going to be the difference maker here?
I'm so glad you teed me up like that, Haley, because one of the matchups I want to watch is Derek Stingley Jr. I think he will travel with Travis Kelce on some pivotal third downs. Logan and Mackenzie, you guys just had the full screen up of how Travis Kelce's numbers go up in the playoff times. That's when Patrick Mahomes really gets in a mode with him, right? Sometimes those are off-scripted plays where it's not even a traditional route, but they're just so in sync. So look for Derek Stingley Jr. to potentially travel with Travis Kelce on some of those money downs, the third down.
All right, so we had Todd go all in, put everything on the line here. I'm going to put you guys in the same situation when it comes to your best bet for today. It doesn't have to be this Chiefs-Texans game kicking off, just your best bet coming from Saturday. Lige, I come to you first. What is it?
Yeah, Haley, my all-on-the-line bet is the Commanders plus 9.5. Jaden Daniels and the Commanders don't lose by double digits. The last time that happened was Week 1 versus Tampa Bay Bucks. Also have a little history for you guys. Before that Washington team played Tampa Bay last week, they were 3-0 in the playoffs versus Tampa Bay Bucks. They ended up winning last week. Well, a funny caveat The Commanders, or the Washington team, is 3-0 versus the Detroit Lions before playing today. Now, I'm not saying sprinkle anything on the money line, but give me the Commanders plus 9.5. Again, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders do not lose by double-digit points.
Yeah, Elijah, I like that. And I'm staying in that same game, but on the other side. And I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic, right? Going over the longest rush of the day, 18.5 yards. When I look at the Lions' rush offense, they're number 2 in the NFL. When I look at the Commanders, they're 26 in run defense, right? And when you have run defense, people think, oh, you got to stonewall every play. But no, bad run defense is when you let one get big. You let a big one get out. So I can see Jahmyr Gibbs scamper for 20 yards real quick, happen like this, and you make your money real fast, people. I'm not here to give you a long time. You could probably do it quickly. Jahmyr Gibbs over 18.5. Sonic will bust at least one loose on the Commanders' run defense.
Does it come in the first half or the second?
See, that's another bet. See, I can't do that. That'll be 2 bets.
He's starting to get his feet wet.
I'm only going to give you one.
It's not overwhelming.
Trying to push him a little bit.
I'm going to take us back to this Chiefs-Texans game here, and I've been hyper-fixating on Xavier Worthy a little bit here because so much attention going to Hollywood Brown, who's back, going to Travis Kelce, who's obviously, you know, a juggernaut in the playoffs. But I do think Xavier Worthy, now his touchdown line has so much good value, and they're pricing him as if he's just a receiving threat. He's not. He's a rushing threat as well. We've watched him be part of this run game through the stretch of the season, and I just think we're disrespecting what he's done for this team the past 3 games. I think he will be ignored in the best way possible, and we cash a touchdown from him.
I'm new to the betting, but I did see this stat about Taylor Swift earlier that the Chiefs are 16-3 straight up when she is in attendance. She's at the game, so give me the Chiefs in this one. Guys, this has been so much fun. I've loved hanging out and talking ball to you, and I'm not going to give anyone a chance to talk about T Swift because we got to get to a break.
Can I get my point in?
Kickoff is coming up in just a few minutes between the Texans and the Chiefs. The winner goes to the AFC Championship game. We will have you covered when it comes to updates and halftime, so make sure you stick with us here on CBS Sports HQ. We will see you then.